Hey friends, welcome back. I wanted to give you a little introduction to chapters 10 through 18 of Tuck. So in chapter 10, we see Winnie um, getting used to the Tucks a little bit more and their home environment. And we see a whole lot of differences between Winnie's upbringing and the Tucks and how they live and how they do things. There's a really great description of what their home looks like, and it's just really, really nice. Um, and then May kind of talks a little bit about what Miles and Jesse do, and she kind of gives her opinion on some things as well about their family and how May lives her life and her beliefs. So we kind of take turns getting some perspective about this whole living forever thing from each member of the Tuck family in their own way in these upcoming chapters. In chapter 11, they eat flapjacks for dinner, and we really see some differences of how Winnie was raised, how to eat, and things like that versus how the Tucks eat. And Winnie says that she wants to go home. She's feeling a little homesick because she just feels a little uncomfortable in the Tuck's home. And Tuck himself says that before Winnie goes anywhere, he wants to talk to her about drinking the water and what it really means. And he says that they have to go to the pond for answers. So, chapter 12 is probably the most important chapter in the book, believe it or not. And it's because Tuck really does an incredible job describing the deeper meaning of living forever and the cycle of life and how everyone is born, we live, we die, born, live, die, and this whole circle of things. And unfortunately, the Tucks are off this wheel, this cycle of life, because they don't die. And he really does a beautiful job explaining it. I don't want to give too much away because he does a really, really nice job. And it's meant to make us think, and just a great, great, great little chapter. Unfortunately, something bad happens at the end of chapter 12, which takes us right to chapter 13, where we see the man in the yellow suit. He pops up again. This time he pops up at the Foster's house and he goes, I know where your little girl is. Bum, bum, bum. In chapter 14, um, the Tucks go to bed and Winnie has some discussions with the Tucks and she feels a little bit more comfortable than she did earlier. In chapter 15, we see it going, we kind of go back to the man in the yellow suit. So we kind of go back and forth between the Tuck's home and the Foster's home. So now we're back at the Foster's home where the man in the yellow suit is making a bargain. And he's kind of saying, I'll tell you where your daughter is if you give me something in return. I'm not going to say exactly what he wants, but he's not a very nice man. Let's put it that way. And then chapter 16 kind of goes off of chapter 15 where we meet the constable, who's a new character. And the constable, it's really like a police officer for the village. He's like the main law enforcement guy of Tree Gap. And he goes off trotting in the woods with the man in the yellow suit to head to the Tuck's home to get Winnie. And then the man in the yellow suit decides to go on ahead of the constable. It's important to know. Chapter 17, we go back to the Tuck's home. It's morning. She wakes up early and she gets a little bit of alone time with Miles back out on the pond. They're going to go fishing. And then now we get Miles' perspective on things, as well as to how he feels about living and things of that nature. Um, and they have a really nice conversation, I think. And again, she's getting all this different perspective about, well, here's how this person feels about living forever. Here's how this person feels. Here, is it good? Is it bad? So we're constantly kind of looking at, is it a good thing to live forever? Is it a good thing to never die? And Winnie's just trying to figure out exactly what all this really means. And then in chapter 18, they have flapjacks again for breakfast. And then unfortunately, there is a knock on the door, which is a really big deal because nobody ever visits the Tucks. So, really awesome stuff coming up in these next few chapters. They are pretty fast paced, um, easy reading, nice short chapters, but full of really awesome information. And I think that's it. So, I will see you in class.